Just a brief statement. Eric, I'm going to respond. I know the lawyers say leave this to the lawyers, but what Elias didn't talk about is the application of the law. And the reality is, if you look at the February 13th ruling, it would mean that if you voted in Carver County and you had a witness who might or might not have been registered, that if you lived in Minneapolis, that same vote would count. And the law and the Constitution really require equal application of the law. But I'll let the lawyers talk about the complexities of constitutional issues and due process and equal protection issues. Just a general statement. And that is, if you listen to the argument of both the Franken campaign and our campaign, it's very clear that there are hundreds, if not over thousands, of Minnesotans whose votes were not counted on election night and will now be counted or should be counted. And that's a good thing. The reality is that the margin between the candidates, be it on election night, be it when the recount began, or when the canvassing board completed its work, is very, very thin. Very, very thin. And clearly there are more votes out there right now that haven't been counted, that both sides agree need to be counted, should be counted, than separate either myself and Mr. Franken. And so, in the end, what I feel uplifted about is the opportunity that we've had through this process to enfranchise a lot of Minnesotans. If there's one thing that I think had to touch everybody who watched this proceeding, it's the voters who came in, who talked about the importance of the right to vote. Whether it's voters who voted since the time of Dewey and of Truman and Dewey, that race, to first-time voters, that they have a right to have their vote counted. And we take that seriously. We started this case, one of our early voters, I think, was Gerald Anderson, a 70-something-year-old blind St. Paulite, signed his ballot in the wrong place because his wife kind of directed him to sign it there. His vote should count. His vote should count. And hyper-technical restrictions on absentee ballots don't serve any public purpose, don't serve the interests of the people of Minnesota. So the bottom line in this is that both sides agree that there are a lot of votes to be counted. This contest has given folks the right to have their vote counted, the ability to have their vote counted, and I think that's a pretty good thing. Whatever the outcome is, ultimately we'll get to a conclusion in this, but the bottom line is that folks have a right to have their vote counted, and certainly this process has enfranchised a lot of Minnesotans.
If you lose, will you appeal?
Let me just respond. I'll just do one question because it's the question that's, what's the next step? Let's deal with this step right now. There are a lot of votes to be counted. There are still a number of issues to be cited. I'm not looking forward. I'm looking right now to see, what happens. We've made a case, a very strong, compelling case. I think Joe Freeberg did a great job talking about common sense. It's a great gift the good Lord gave all of us, and hopefully be used by the judges, and in the end we'll get ballots counted. I'm not looking beyond that right now. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.